morning, folks. Cumberland Outdoorsman here with you again, and I'd like to welcome you back. This is March the 29th, and as you most likely well know, there is a serious virus that's spreading across the world, and we've all been instructed to practice social distancing. So I thought to myself, that sounds like a good idea, because we really need to do what is required of us as responsible people to combat this terrible virus. So for myself, that means coming out here in the woods and staying away from the crowds. You know, don't go to town if you don't really have to, and always use proper precautions whenever you need to go somewhere, you know, and only go when it's absolutely necessary. But anyway, I thought, you know, it'd be a good opportunity to come out here in the woods and do some scouting for turkeys, because the wild turkey season opens up next week, next Saturday, and that's rapidly approaching. And I also come out here and I look for wild mushrooms. The morel mushrooms are up this time of year, and we've had several warm days, and last night we had a storm that rolled through, and things are a little bit cooler today, so it really helped moisten the ground up some. And anything that's growing right now in terms of mushrooms should be helped along with the moisture in the ground. And I've got some here that I've been watching for a few days. Let me show you what I've got. These are yellow morels, and right there in the middle of the screen are some that I spotted a few days ago. And then there's some growing here along this old log. There's one there, and let's see, there's one there, and another one right there. And the more I sit here and look around, the more I spot. There's one right there. And I've got a few marked here that I discovered under the leaves that are just getting started. You can't see them. If you look closely, see if you can spot that one there. It's right in the middle of the screen. It's right there. See, it's just a little fella. But I've got it marked with these sticks so I don't come in here and step on them. There's another one right there. Just getting started. So when you find one mushroom, like I did there, you need to stop and really look around, because they rarely grow just one in an area. There's usually a multitude of mushrooms. There's one right there I just now spotted, right there. See it? You really have to develop an eye for these things, because they blend in so well with the foliage on the ground. There's one there. Two right there. That one. And then another one. There's two more. And there are a few different varieties that grow here. These are the yellow morels, and they usually, the later in the season it gets, the bigger they grow. Now I've watched these here grow from little tiny mushrooms like that to over 3 inches long, or 3.5 inches long, in just a few days. So I've let those grow. I don't just come in and take them down. When they're that small, there's not much point. And if I look around here in these leaves, I'll probably find more, because they grow from underneath the foliage. There's one right there. Just discovered it just now. Right there. See? They're hiding under the foliage, and then as they grow, they poke out through the leaves. So you got to be real careful not to step on them, you know, and it's hard to do because they hide so well. Really hard to do. Looking along here, I'll probably find a few more, and you really have to scan in front of you and really look. There's that one. think that's the same one that I showed earlier. Let's see, there may be some more here. Oh, I just spotted one right there. Right there by that tree. But let me look here, make sure I don't step on any. I guarantee you there's a lot more growing around here than what you see. Right there. That mushroom there will grow considerably over the next few days. The main thing that dries them out is wind and intense sun, as you would expect. So you got to kind of monitor them, and when they start to show any signs of drying, it's time to harvest them, because they will wilt up on you and just, they won't be any good after that. I also discovered some black morels a few days ago, and I've got some video footage of those as well. Well, good afternoon, folks, and welcome back. Here it is right at the end of March, and with all this coronavirus stuff going on, I thought I'd just get away from everybody and come out here in the woods. And I just stepped off in the woods this morning. I found some morel mushrooms right over there, but they're still kind of small. So I saw this big tree right here. This is on my property, and I found these morels here just a minute ago, and I always stop and pause whenever I find one morel or two, and I get on my knees and scan all around to make sure I hadn't missed any. But I just spotted another one right there. And if I look around, I might actually find a few more. There's one right there. Oh, and there's another one sticking up over there. These are black morels. And the ones I found this morning are gray morels. But I'm going to let those grow a little bit longer. So I'm going to look around here a little bit more and see what else I can find. Maybe there'll be a few more lurking around here. Whenever you find one morel, always look around. Make sure you don't miss any others, because most of the time they grow in numbers. It's kind of rare to find just one morel somewhere. There's two more right there. I just spotted them as I turned around. Two more right there. Oh, and there's another one, and another one. Let's see. Right there. And another one further back. Let's see. Right there. Best thing to do is just kind of sit and look around, because you'll spot more and more as you scan the area. There's another one. I just spotted that one. Right there. So there could be 20 or 30 of them around here. You know, instead of just getting the few that you see right offhand, take your time, look around, you'll find more. So I'm going to gather these up and get them taken care of, and look around here a little bit more. And you always want to keep a place like this in mind, because chances are they'll be up again next year. Another good place to look for morel mushrooms is along these little streams like this, in these low-lying areas. Usually up along the banks, because it stays fairly moist here most of the time. You see these young wild cherry trees like this one here. When the leaves are about that size, they're just really fresh, just coming out. That's one of the signs to look for in regards to the time to start looking for morel mushrooms. Sometimes you can look a place over for 3 or 4 times and not spot a mushroom. There's one right there. Do you see it yet? It's right above my walking stick. This is why they're so hard to find. That's a black morel. It's a little bit dry on top, but a good specimen to go ahead and take. I was just here the other day and I collected probably a dozen or so in this one spot and overlooked that one. Didn't see it. So I'll go ahead and harvest that one, and I'm going to head down the hill and show you another one that I found and try to help you to be able to find these mushrooms and get an eye for them. So that's a black morel, like I said. They're harder to find than the big yellows, let me tell you. They're quite a bit more difficult, very challenging. Here's the way I harvest it. Right down here at the base. Just cut it off clean and leave the other part intact. Anyway, I came up here and I found this gray morel, and just to show you, see how the top of that's getting real dark? That means that mushroom's drying out, so you might as well harvest that one. And the way I harvest them, I don't pinch them and I don't rip them out of the ground. Take a pocket knife that I normally carry every day, and I just cut them right there, and I leave all that intact. Leave that in the ground. And then after I do that, I cover it back up with leaves. That leaves the mycelia of that mushroom intact underground. This is just the fruit here, and the actual organism is underground. So that's what you're trying to preserve. I don't want to rip them out of the ground and disturb that mycelia, and I see a lot of people doing that, and I discourage that. I've seen good mushroom sites destroyed because people just rip them out of the ground and then pinch the roots off and throw them down instead of leaving them intact in the soil, because next year there's a good chance that more mushrooms will come up right here. Okay, the other day I looked this whole place over, and just now I spotted a couple of yellow morels right there. See that one? And one right next to it. And there are probably a few more around here. I just haven't spotted them yet. They're so hard to see when they first get started. Once they jump up out of the leaves and stick up, you know, they're more visible. There's another one right there. Just spotted it. That's why I say, you know, if you find one morel, you need to stop. Stop right there and just look around. There's another one. Popping up out of the leaves there. The morels are here. They're still a little bit early, but they're definitely coming up right now. That's 1, 2, 3, 4 that I've spotted so far, just sitting here for 2 minutes. And I'm sure there's more. I just haven't found them yet. You really have to just scan the whole area over and look closely. Like I say, when they get bigger, they'll be easier to see. But I'm going to go ahead and mark these with a stick, just like I did earlier, like I showed you. But be mindful. Remember, there could be small ones around, you know, that you don't see. Try not to step on any. Be very careful. Okay, just a minute ago it was right there, and I left one there, and I harvested one right by that dead little log right there. And I came up here to this huge ash tree. Just walked up here and started looking, and there's one right there. These are just ones that I've spotted. One there. One right here in front of us. That one's starting to grow pretty good, getting pretty good size. And there's one right there. Another one right there I just spotted. Oh, and another one further up. Let's see. Yeah, right there. And I don't know what's on the other side of this tree. There's one. I just spotted it right on the other side of the tree there. It's kind of bent over at the top. Right there. And I'm just going to sit here and look. Just look around. Just scan the whole area. That's 6 that I've seen just sitting right here. No telling how many more are here. And how many are just getting started. You can be looking at one, and then out of your peripheral vision, you look up and boom, there's another one, and there's another one. Just like now. You know, there's 6 that I've found here, or 7. And I guarantee you there's more. Oh, one right here, sitting right here next to me. Right there, didn't even see that till I looked down. I'm sitting here on this log because I don't want to step on any. Right there. That's 8. Haven't even looked behind me yet. So right around these big trees like this, you want to look for these larger trees. So I'm just going to sit here for a while and just keep looking. And then when I go to the other side of the tree, I may find some more, and I'll turn the camera back on. This is the other side of the tree here. I was just sitting on that log right there, and I spotted 2 more right here. There's one right there. It's still early, folks. These hadn't had the time to grow yet, like when you find them when they're bigger. And then there's one right here. And I know I just saw some more. Oh, there's another one there. And I'm sure I just spotted one that I'm overlooking. Because when you come into a little area like this, one thing to remember, there's always more mushrooms than what you think there are. I just spotted another one right there, right next to those 2 little pine cones, just to the right of it. There's lots of mushrooms in here, just got to find them. There's a young one right there. That one's just getting started. Don't see any more at the moment, but I know they're in here. There's one right there. This is how you find these mushrooms. You got to practice patience. Okay, these mushrooms are all around this tree. That's the one we spotted when I was sitting on this log just a while ago. Now coming around to the other side here, there's one there. One up under that log. Right there. And then there's several more all up and down here that I've spotted. There's one right there. That's still a young one. And let's see, there was another one here that I just seen a few minutes ago. I haven't even gone to that other tree yet. Oh yeah, right here. Right in front of me there. And they're all up under this big ash tree right here. And I still haven't gone to that other tree yet. There's one there, and then there's another tree. Guarantee you this place is loaded with them. This is how you find them. You find these young ones like this and you remember the spot and you come back and you'll find more and more. See, I spotted this one right here as I was coming up the hill, that first one. Right there. And then from that one, I found probably 20 or so all around this tree. Okay folks, this is down the hill from where I was just at, and this was the first yellow morel that I discovered this year, and it was this time last weekend. And I marked it there with a stick. You can see here I've got it marked. And then I thought that was the only one here, and just a while ago I came up here. There's another one right here. One right there next to it. So there may be a few more around here, but I sure haven't spotted them. Sometimes you'll find two like that, one or two in one spot, and then you just don't see any more. But that's usually not the case. 80% of the time you'll find them in multitudes. You know, 8, 10, 12, sometimes 20 or 30 in one spot. Okay, right there next to that stick is one of the first black morels that I discovered this year. If you look right there, just to the right of that stick, at the bottom, there's a black morel. And I kind of left that there to monitor its growth. It's the only one I found right here on this hillside. There may or may not be more, but I sure haven't found them. That's the only one that I've seen so far. Okay, this big, huge poplar right here, that's over here on my property, is one of quite a few. There's a couple more over there. But right here, I just harvested 3 mushrooms, and because the tops were starting to get a little dry, so I figured I'd go ahead and harvest them. But just to show you, right here, there's a young morel. Right there. Right there's another. And over there's another one. That's just the ones that I've spotted, just standing in this one spot right here. So if I scan all around here, you know, I'm liable to see some more. I haven't looked over there yet, but these big trees like this, big old growth trees, that's where you find these mushrooms. So far I found them under ash, elm, and poplar. These big yellow poplars. You'll find one here and there, you know, in and amongst these trees, but where I usually find the biggest concentrations of them is at the bases of these big trees. So I'll keep looking. Okay, I found a half a dozen or so right over there around that big poplar. And I came over here to this one. And see one here that really needs to be harvested because the top is missing. If the tops are dried out or if they're damaged, I'll go ahead and harvest them. There's another one right there. That one's coming along real nicely, actually. That'll be a pretty good sized morel. And I saw several small ones on the way up here, you know, coming up out of the ground, probably that long. So this whole hillside here is covered with morel mushrooms if you can just find them. You leave that mushroom pretty much intact at the bottom there. And everywhere I sit down with these mushrooms that I've harvested, I'm putting spores on the ground because I'm using this mesh bag. You know, you can't see them, but the spores, everywhere you set your bag down and where you walk along, you're releasing spores back into the ground. And that's what makes future mushroom populations grow. So I'm going to look around here a little bit longer and just see if I can spot a few more. Saw that one, and I'm sure there's a few more around here. Then I'm going to go check these other trees. Well, folks, today's Tuesday, March the 31st, and we had some rain earlier today, and it really cooled off overnight. We had temperatures up in the 80s this past weekend, and now it's like 55, 60 degrees, so it dropped considerably. Found a few morel mushrooms down there, and I came here because, as you can see, there's a lot of poplars and elms right here. There's a big grove of them. And the mushrooms that I found, I went ahead and marked them because I want to give them a chance to grow, but I found one right here along this path. Pretty good sized yellow morel. And I'm going to go ahead and take this one. I looked around here and I don't see any more. It's kind of unusual. Usually when you find one like that, there's several more around here. But that's promising right there to see that. That means somewhere around here there should be some more. Just not here in this area, because I've already looked all through here and gone down here. I haven't seen any more. But I want to take that one home and let those other ones grow. I'll come back here in a few days and see how well they've done. Cumberland Outdoorsman here again with you, and I've got some more morels that I'd like to cook, and I'm back in my kitchen here. And what we're going to cook today are some of these smaller yellow morels that I found. They come in different colors, as you can see here. These are not as big as the really big yellow morels that I find later on in the season, but I'll tell you, the flavor is just as good, if not better. I really kind of like the smaller ones better in taste. But I'm going to vary this recipe just a little bit. Instead of using olive oil today, I'm going to use unsalted butter. This is just regular sweet cream unsalted butter to fry them in. And the meal that I'm using is partly breadcrumb meal, self-rising flour, and also pretzels. And I mixed all that up in my blender until I got a fine meal, and that's what we're going to roll it in. I'm still going to use the egg and ranch dressing and milk wash to put them in, like I've got here in this bowl. And I've got them all laid out here. I'm already heating up the skillet here to get it good and hot for the mushrooms that we're getting ready to put in here. But let me show you what we have here. Okay, here's my morels laid out. I've already got some soaking in this wash here. And what I do is I just slice them in half. All true morels that are not toxic or poisonous are hollow in the middle, like that. Okay, your false morels are not. So you ought not be keeping any morels in the springtime that are not hollow. They need to be hollow inside, and what you're looking for is the hollow cavity that goes from the top all the way to the base. Just like that. No matter what size they are, and no matter what species, they're black morel, yellow morel, or whatever. That's what we're looking for. And really the false morels don't really look like morels. They look like rain tissue or something, and they're kind of a dark orange brown coloration, like wrinkled leather or something. That's what it reminds me of. I have found them, and if I find any, I'll try to include them in this video. But what I do is I just mix these up real good in my wash here until the whole mushroom is coated. Okay? Let me go ahead and put some butter on here. The butter really makes for a good flavor. The olive oil works as well too, but I think the butter is a little bit better. It's just whatever you prefer. I'll go ahead and put some in here. Let it melt down. I've already got this pre-mixed, and I keep mine in a brown paper bag. Make plenty ahead of time so that you have enough on hand when you get ready to do this. The eggs are really what makes the breading stick. So there's 2 eggs in here, and there's about 4 tablespoons of ranch dressing and about 4 tablespoons of milk. Sprinkle a little bit over the top. And we'll start these frying here. Turn this around. Go ahead and put them on. These are really quite a treat if you find enough of them. The other evening my wife ate a whole plate of them, and she really missed the taste because it's been a few years since I've actually gone out and looked for morels. This year I happened to find some, so I started looking for them again, and luckily I found quite a few. I'm starting to find some of the bigger ones, but like I say, they all taste the same. I'll tell you, if you've never tried spring morels, you don't know what you've missed, because they are a delicacy. Now you can also preserve these by partially frying them like this. Flip them over. Don't fry them until they're completely done, but just, partially fry them, and then let them cool off, drain the grease off, and put them on like a cookie sheet, wax paper or whatever. Let them cool off, and then you can freeze them that way in one layer, and then put them in a freezer bag or whatever for use later on. But you can tell these are starting to get done on one side there. Flip that one back over. You want a nice golden brown crisp on the outside. By the way, I don't know if I mentioned it or not, but you should never eat these mushrooms raw. Make sure you cook them. These are almost done. Still need to go just a little bit longer. You don't want them mushy in the end, you want them crispy. You know, you want a nice crisp on the outside. Now, these need to go just a little bit longer. A few more minutes. These smaller ones are harder to find than the bigger ones, actually, because they're harder to spot. The big ones, they pretty much stand out when you're out in the woods. You know, you walk right into them and you can see them all over the place sometimes. That's your fried morel mushrooms. Okay, this pretty much finishes up the last batch that I've got. They're just about all done, except maybe these two. I'm going to flip them over and look at them. Check the color of them. You don't want them too dark because then they get burnt. You just want them nice and golden brown. Like that. And there you have some fried morels. Now you can serve these with something like a chicken salad, or you know, if you harvest a turkey, you can use fried turkey strips alongside this, or you can just eat them by themselves. I like to lightly salt them, about like that. Turn this off. And you can dip them in your favorite salad dressing like ranch or Thousand Island, whatever you prefer, or just eat them the way they are. And there you have it. Those are wild morel mushrooms cooked at home, home style, in butter. So if you get out this spring and you can find some morels, try this recipe. I'm sure you'll enjoy it. So like I said, if you can find some of these mushrooms and you follow this recipe, I think you'll enjoy it pretty much as I do. And let me tell you, as just a snack, you know, to sit and watch a TV show or whatever, morel mushrooms go hand in hand. They are delicious. And they're a lot of fun to go look for, to hunt for, and to actually find them. When you find them, you feel a real sense of success, because you know that when you get them home and you fix them like this, when the people try them, they can't get enough of them. So anyway, let me close off by saying, make sure you get the true black morel or the yellow morel mushroom. Don't get the false morels. And there's other recipes. You know, you can also saute them with a little bit of onion, diced onion, and then mix in, make sure the mushrooms are done and the onions are done, mix in some eggs and have them for breakfast. Quite good, actually. I may do another recipe just to show you. So anyway, we'll close out right now with these morels. I'm going to go sit down and feast with my wife and my grandson. Until next time, this is the Cumberland Outdoorsman. Remember, if you can get out and go hunting, fishing, hiking, camping, whatever it is you like, I hope you enjoy it as much as I do. And until next time, remember, hit the like button, hit the bell icon, and subscribe. That way you'll know when more videos like this will be coming your way. So y'all take care, my friends, and enjoy your morel mushrooms.